Now, I recall in the book there was a place to where you had to have a confrontation with your dad about shifting the focus of the business. Tell me about that.
Well, when he finally finished the call and he said, "What's up, son?" And I said, "Dad, we have a decision to make." "What's that?" "We need to decide whether to do strategic planning now or wait until you're dead."
Wow.
And he said, "What is strategic planning?" I thought, I have the mule's attention now. I said, "Daddy, at the top of this company, there's a door and it says Turner on one side, and it only opens to someone whose name is Turner to come in to what goes on at the top of the company." Strategic planning is going to be our way of opening that Turner door to everybody else so that we can share this company with the true implementers. And I believe we can accomplish a lot more with this company by sharing it with everyone.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. We're looking forward to hearing more about you and your book. My first question would be, what drew you to write the book? Writing a book's a hard thing. So what happened to move you in that direction?
Because it was my second book, this book, My Father's Business, came into being. It wasn't my first book, it was my second book.
Okay.
The first book, Led to Follow, was a book written by our United Methodist minister at Brentwood United Methodist Church, Howard Oles, who was facing death and was approached by the Methodist Publishing House with the request that a book on followership, not on leadership, be written. And for a minister to get a publisher to want to publish something that he's written is nirvana.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And so he was excited about it. And Howard and I were good friends. The request was that, "Howard, we'd like for you to write from the perspective of pastor, and we'd like for Cal Turner to write from the perspective of practitioner. We have too many books on leadership. Let's write a book on following or followership." And Howard and I agreed to do that. And we had a delightful ghostwriter, Rob Simbeck, who, when he and I would sit down and we'd be going over something for Led to Follow, and he'd say, "That's good, we'll put that aside for your book." Well, I did not want to write a book. I have read too many CEO books that amount to the CEO bragging on himself and then being sure to mention the people who've helped. And they'll all read the book to see if they're in the book, of course. and it, to me, was an exercise in ego that I did not want to practice. So, but because Rob Simbeck kept putting aside things, we did wind up with the book Led to Follow. And not Led to Follow, My Father's Business. My Father's Business. And it proved to be a good experience for me, and I'm glad that it happened.
It's one of the most human books I read of its kind. I found myself tearing up, laughing out loud, getting angry. I mean, I experienced all the emotions as you were there, and your honesty in it was just refreshing.
Thank you, Ken. I didn't consider it ever to be my book, but my family's book, and a book about our family business, and the real world struggles of anyone who gets engaged in a family business.
Well, I think you did a good job of not making it about you. And that's what was refreshing too. Just thinking about your life at this point, what do you think are a few defining moments for you that you look back and can pinpoint?
Well, I suppose my life has been a process of defining who I wanted to be when I grew up. And I have all my life been impacted by my relationship with my Lord, which is my number one relationship in life. And that has empowered me to make a better connection with others. And I grew up in a small town. Our business was a small town business. And our customers were salt of the earth, struggling people who came into our store, and I realized I could learn a lot from them because their survival is threatened. And the Dollar General store that was close to them could help them get by in life, could help them have, if you can help somebody buy toilet paper cheaper and always being in stock on toilet paper, you're doing a real service.
Yeah.
Because that's toilet paper is something that our customer didn't ever need to run out of, you know? And we needed to be there for them when they ran out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And now that doesn't sound like a very high purpose, but to us, it became a high purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not important until you run out.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, did you, after school, did you immediately go into the business with your dad, or was there a gap in there?
I did not immediately go into the business with my dad, and my father was put off by that.
Was he?
He wanted me to come right into the business after I finished my education at Vanderbilt. He wanted me right in the business. And I heard that there's a great program in the Navy where you could go in for 4 months to Newport, Rhode Island, officer candidate school, and you could come out and ensign. By golly, at the time, I probably didn't even know how to pronounce ensign. I might have pronounced it ensign, but the program sounded good. And it was real developmental experience for me going into the Navy and having the comparison of the military leadership model with the family business model of our company.
Yeah. What did you notice was a significant difference there?
Well, I noticed that one could use a very methodical organization chart, but the family business that my father ran needed a big circle drawn with him right in the middle and all of these spokes that went out, because he was the god of the company and he understood retailing inside and out. And I visited stores with him for years, and yet I didn't think I knew I didn't know enough about retailing compared to him, what he knew.
Yeah.
And so the challenge was threatening to me, that I would go in as the boss's son. That's not a role that anybody should ever want, because, I've said this many times, boss spelled backwards is double S-O-B. And
I hadn't heard that before.
And so the boss's son has to be even worse than a double S-O-B. And that's, I've always been a people pleaser, and I want others to like me, and I want them to believe that I really like them too. And so why would you want to go into that role? So I went into the Navy to see if there was something there that I should do instead.
How long were you in the Navy?
3 years and 4 months. And would you like to know my single greatest accomplishment? 3 years, 4 months in the Navy?
Yeah.
We had a Catholic sailor trying to get a divorce in the north of Scotland, where we were stationed. And the only way we could get that was to prove his impotence at that time in the Catholic Church. And I was the admin officer, and I was trying to help him get the divorce because he had impregnated the daughter of the local sheriff.
Oh.
And so we needed to prove his impotence pretty fast so he could, we could get out of that mess. And the sheriff wrote our command and asked for the command position on the matter. Well, having grown up in Scottsville, Kentucky, I didn't know all the social niceties that I learned when I came to Vanderbilt and learned from the Vanderbilt co-eds, the polite niceties. And I wrote a letter to the sheriff that said, our heart goes out to you, and we know this is a devastation to your family, and we are doing everything, that sort of thing. My letter came to the attention of the admiral in London, who called our commanding officer, and he said, do everything you can to get Mr. Turner to have a career in the Navy, because he would be fabulous. I've never known anybody ever able to say nothing so beautifully. He would be a success in the Navy. So there you go. 3 years and 4 months in the Navy, and that's what I did. I said nothing beautifully.
So when you came out of the Navy, did you go into the business at that point?
Yes, I did.
What was your greatest challenge going into it?
I felt that I, as the top person in the company, had to sell myself to everybody. And that was a challenge. So I began by poking fun at myself. Well, we all know how I got my job. Good looking, intelligent, and the boss's son. Whoops, I didn't get that order right, did I? But let me tell you that I have done everything pretty much in this company that all of you do. And my confession to you is that I was not good at what you do.
Oh, okay.
But that helps me to know that as your leader, I need you. And if you will help us all to figure out the highest and best we can accomplish in this company, we'll all share the success together.
Wow.
My father has often said, I love to share the cake with anyone who helped me bake it. Well, but to say it the way my father really meant it, it would be, I love to share the cake with anyone who helped me bake it. You know, in other words, I am in charge, and I was threatened because I didn't know how to be in charge.
Yeah. So you took more of a role of letting them be the hero, and you were more the servant in it, supporting them and how you went about your leadership. Is that right?
That is right as to my motive, certainly. I knew how much I needed them, and that is a truth that every leader should attain. That you need them, and if you can affirm them the way my father affirmed me. My father brought me into the company saying, Cal Jr. is smarter than I am. And my father wanted me to take over the company when I first came into the company. And I knew that would be way premature. But he honestly believed, I think, that I was smarter than he, which proves who was really smart. That's the father who convincingly says that his son is smarter.
Yeah.
And he did it with great conviction.
Wow.
What do you think he saw? Was it your ability to communicate?
I believe that was it. And he honestly looked at me through the eyes of love. There was a lot of love in our family. There were 4. My mother said that she and my father had 4 happy accidents. 4 kids. And my mother, I believe I understand why God created reality the way he did, with male and female, because from my father and from my mother, I received love. And yet there's a different love from mother to son than the love from father to son. And my dad and I visited stores with my father before I even went to the first grade.
Oh.
I was about 5 years old, and he came home early and he said, Cal Jr. is going to do store visits with me. And because his driving scared the you-know-what out of me, I was happy to get to the store because I couldn't even see out the window. And the roads in Kentucky were crooked, winding, hilly, and it was a frightful experience.
Yeah.
But then we got to the store, and I thought, oh, we're in the store. But the language, what they talked about in the store. Later on, when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, I didn't like to hear them talk in the summertime talking about back to school business. I didn't want to even hear about going back to school. And they were talking about back to school business. And I wasn't sure I understood anything that was going on in the store. I knew relative to my father, I didn't. But that book is titled My Father's Business.
Mm-hmm.
And I really intended the double meaning
Mm-hmm.
because I was carried by my Heavenly Father
Mm-hmm.
in my inept attempt at running the business founded by my father and grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Now, I recall in the book there was a place to where you had to have a confrontation with your dad about shifting the focus of the business. Tell me about that.
Well, we did strategic planning when I became president of the company because to even call myself president was almost to strangle myself because I could just barely get it out that I'm president of Dollar General. So we did strategic planning. Now, one of the first things I had to do before we could even start strategic planning was to be sure my father was not going to interfere.
Okay.
So I went into my dad's office and I thought, now what do you do when you have to communicate with a mule? Well, you have to get the mule's attention. You need a plank.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in and my dad was on the phone and I sat patiently waiting for him to get off the phone, which really got his attention because he wasn't used to my ever doing anything with patience. But I just made a point of just being relaxed and letting him talk. So he hung up when he finally finished the call and he said, "What's up, son?" And I said, "Dad, we have a decision to make." "What's that?" "We need to decide whether to do strategic planning now or wait until you're dead."
Wow.
And he said, "What is strategic planning?"
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I have the mule's attention now. I said, "Daddy, at the top of this company, there's a door and it says Turner on one side, and it only opens to someone whose name is Turner to come in to what goes on at the top of the company. Mm-hmm. Strategic planning is going to be our way of opening that Turner door to everybody else so that we can share this company with the true implementers.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we can accomplish a lot more with this company by sharing it with everyone."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Well, son," and he surprised me. He said, "The way I've run this company, I know is not right anymore. The company's outgrown me. And I don't know what is right. But I respect you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to find out what is right.
Wow.
And I'll support you." Now, mind you, I'll get on my stump from time to time. I said, "Well, Daddy, we all know certain things are given." Yeah, we understand that. But he said, "However, I don't want you to have planners. I want you to have plan doers."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that savvy entrepreneur really understands some things.
Mm-hmm.
Our relationship kept growing. And
How did it impact you when he surprised you with such humility?
well, it wound me up to perform.
Did it wound you up, meaning?
I was more determined to live up to his high expectation
Okay.
of his son.
Wow.
Yeah. And that taught me a good principle of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Apley, who was my mentor, my leadership mentor in the company, used to have a sign at every training session: expect the work to be done well. Inspect to see that it is.
Huh.
Expect, inspect.
Mm-hmm.
And my father had a very high expectation.
Yeah.
And that's his portrait on the wall of this library. He was my best friend, and my relationship with my father was a joy.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Sounds like he understood that if you were going to plan something, there needed to be some level of accountability attached to that.
Oh, yeah. My father understood accountability really well. I can tell you that. Yes.
What do you attribute the success of Dollar General to? I mean, there's probably more than one thing, but what would you say that is?
Well, a family business is quirky, any family business, and none is like any other.
Mm-hmm.
My father was truly unusual and a true gift from our Heavenly Father, that I had the kind of earthly father that I received.
Mm-hmm.
We had a competitor in the dollar store business which was run by a boss's son there. And at one time, that company performed a lot better than Dollar General.
Hmm.
And then Dollar General passed it up. And I learned something about the difference in that company and Dollar General.
Hmm.
It was in the father.
Hmm.
When the other CEO came home from school as a kid with all A's and one B, his father would jump all over him for that one B.
Hmm.
When I would come home with all A's and one B,
Mm-hmm.
my father would say, "Son, I never thought a Turner would make grades this good. I am so proud of him."
Wow.
One father affirmed, the other disparaged.
Mm-hmm.
That made the difference in the success of those two companies, in my opinion. Both companies being run by a boss's son. Now, the other company had a boss's son that was better looking than Cal Turner Jr., more intelligent than Cal Turner Jr., and was trained as a CPA and an attorney. And I just had my undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt. But I had the love and affirmation of my father, the founder of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I, in my opinion, should have been far more successful than I actually was because of my father.
So would you say that that was passed on from you to all your leadership and your employees?
I know that I tried to see that that was passed on.
Yeah.
It feels a little inappropriate for me to say yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
I can say yes, I wanted it to be, and did everything I could to pass it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you feel like in all of your Dollar General experience was your greatest challenge?
Well, my greatest challenge came when we experienced a real failure in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Our company was actually on the verge of Chapter 11 because we had overexpanded
Mm-hmm.
and bitten off more than we could chew.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that there was disagreement between the CEO of the company, I was the CEO, and the COO of the company, my brother.
Mm.
And the company was on the verge of going under.
Mm-hmm.
Something had to change.
Mm-hmm.
It was my job to change it.
Hmm.
And the book, My Father's Business, talks about that a lot under the chapter caption, the toughest decision of my life, or my toughest decision. My toughest decision was to terminate my brother,
Wow.
knowing that it would tear up the family business and it would tear up the family.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in the family was hoping and praying that Cal Jr. would get over this.
Mm-hmm.
But Cal Jr. had the demanding job of being CEO of the company, and the company was about to go out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So something had to change.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you go when you have a life's toughest decision to make? I went to the good book, and the 15th chapter of John says, I'm the vine and my Father's the vine dresser. That which is dead he cuts away. That which is fruitful he prunes for more fruit. And I said, thank you, Lord. I know what has to happen. One brother has to be cut away, and the other brother has to be pruned.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard on both of us. To tell you the truth, I feel sorrier for the brother who has to be pruned since I'm that brother. But when the time came for that to happen, my brother actually helped me to fire him.
Oh, really? How'd you do that?
Well, he said, now, Cal Jr., this company is my birthright just the same as it is yours.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I'm here in this company, brother, you're not going to implement the change you have in mind. So you have a choice. You're going to have to step up to the plate and deny me my birthright by firing me.
Wow.
And I just swallowed hard and said, I do. So the wedding vow was the separation of one brother from the other brother and from the business that was his birthright.
Mm.
And yet the problem we had in the company was a leadership problem at the top.
Mm.
It wasn't so much that we had done too many acquisitions. It was that we didn't have a true leader. Every organization needs to have a true leader, and every organization is better off if the person who is leading understands the difference in true leadership and management.
Mm. Well, your brother didn't fit the role at all. And
Well, he didn't want the role. He wanted to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. But my dad said, oh, no, you've got to be productive. That was, my dad was really old school in many ways. He said, oh, no, you can't be a lawyer. You got to be productive. And so the family business required a good referee at the top, and I had to be the referee when my father and my brother didn't agree, which happened a lot.
yeah.
And so
So when you let your brother go, what was it in that turned it around and started it growing again?
good question. My brother was proved that he was liberated, and he could do his thing. And he had a vision for downtown Nashville and the development of the Gulch today is largely attributable to Steve Turner.
Wow.
He proved himself to be the real entrepreneur of our generation of Turners. And I am proud of him. And he and I wound up with the bonding of love that brothers also need. And my brother Steve died about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, sorry.
And he and I bonded well before his death. And that was sweet and dear.
How did his exit from the company help you change your leadership style? That obviously took you out of being on the verge of chapter 11. What changes did you implement?
Well, merchandising is the heart of any retail business. That's where you take the shareholders' cash and you turn it into merchandise, and you have to be good enough to turn that back into more cash. And that was the part of the business that Steve was involved in, and it was the part that had to change. So I had to step up to the merchandising plate in addition to the other plates that the CEO has to step up to. And my appeal to everyone to help me to be a better CEO created my being a better CEO, actually. If you can make the right connection with your followers, you're a better leader. And yet that involves a lot of hard work and honest communicating about what you're trying to accomplish, that you want them to be a part of. And if you can affirm them the way my father affirmed me, that you believe in them, you need them, and you know that, then you'll draw the best out of them that can be drawn.
Yeah.
And it was the innate skill of my father that I tried to implement when I was the new leader of the company.
Well, one of the things, if I remember right in the book, was your dad loved purchasing things and would purchase tons of things, but they weren't selling in the store. And you began to look and inquire about what's the customer need. And that would seem like a pretty big shift to me when you did that.
That was a big shift. That was a 180-degree turn from the business model of our founder. 180, just a complete reversal. What I did with the management team was to say, look, I commit to all of you that we together will slaughter any sacred cow of this business. But here's how we need to do it. We need to examine how and why it became sacred in the first place. And then as a team, we'll decide whether that's relevant to the future. And if it isn't, we'll slaughter it. That's my commitment to you as CEO of this company. And then one of them said, well, I'll tell you what's wrong with the company. What's wrong with the company, Ron? It was Ron Humphreys. Ron said, well, you and your father are always quoting your grandfather who said, if it's bought right, it's half sold. Yes, Ron, what's wrong with that? Well, he says, so look at all this half-sold inventory we're stuck with. We can't get rid of. We have one good buyer in this company. That's your father, and he buys all of what anybody has, and that's what we ship out to the stores. We have buyer push in this company. We need customer pull. We need to be in stock on what the customer needs for us to have. And we can't stay in stock on toilet paper because your dad's buying all. Well, he bought all these hula hoops at the end of the hula hoop session, and everybody was trying to learn how to keep a hula hoop up. And I discovered I bet, just from looking at you, Ken, I bet you couldn't keep a hula hoop up either.
I couldn't do it too. I got a picture of me with a little boy trying. So.
Oh, you did? You did? well, you don't look to me like the hula hoop type to me.
No, it wasn't my thing.
But my dad was a charming, engaging entrepreneur. And my mother knew that my voice sounded just like my father's. She said that even our whistle sounded the same. She just had to wait to see if it was in tune or not. And if it was in tune, it was mine. And if it wasn't, it was my dad. But so how does a family business survive in the dog-eat-dog world of retailing? We had to try to discover that in our company. And that book is how that all worked out.
And what'd you figure out?
Well, I figured out that a retailer who loves the customer enough to want the customer to have a better life is potentially successful. Especially if that defines the communication style within the company, where you hire persons who aren't necessarily like anybody here, but they bring something that you need. And Dollar General was a compendium of all kinds of retail talent, and personalities helped us to get to the bottom of the development agenda that was right for our company.
Wow.
And thank you for that, because that's really what you do in your day job, right?
Yeah.
That helped Dollar General, and I recommend it to anybody.
I work with just a ton of family businesses, and Personalysis has helped untangle confusion across the board. I also tell them, now, if we're going to really grow this, we can't have two things: benevolent keeping and benevolent hiring. We have to hire talent that fits the role, no matter what. And that's what you wound up doing.
I was the only Turner in our company who fired anybody. And you would think that would not endear someone to become CEO of the company. And yet, a leader has to hold a high standard up. And everyone has to understand why we're in this business together and what's in it for each of us, so we can come together as a true team.
Mm-hmm.
And that company had a love ethic that personanalysis honestly helps to develop.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That defined the culture.
Now, you did the personanalysis in 1980?
Sometime
89.
yes, yeah. Mary Noland and I became good friends. When you get into personanalysis and you really understand another person well, your relationship grows.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we're all on earth about, to relate to others in the kind of way that personanalysis positions.
Mm-hmm. Well, God given every human a unique thumbprint, and we're all different and more than just that way. And to speak to someone with the knowledge of who they are, how they're wired, is respectful and gains loyalty. And you've just done a really good job with that. So what, for people that are listening to our podcast, business people, what is there one thing you'd like to say to them that could make you feel like makes a difference to them?
Well, I recommend the good book to everybody. And there are really only 2 rules. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. When that company developed the 2-word mission statement, serving others, we're in life to help others. And even our business enterprise can grow. In fact, it really started growing gangbusters when we developed that 2-word mission statement, serving others. That's my recommendation to anyone, that life isn't about you. It's about others. And if you live your life under that inspiration, that you're here to serve others, you will be amazed at the leadership you can exert that society needs today.
What was it that kept you going through even the rough times? What gave you the courage and energy to keep moving forward?
Well, it was honestly my relationship with my Lord. I had to acknowledge that I was carried. And there are times in your life, anybody's life, where the times of failure or loss or hurt or pain come your way. And you have to humbly submit to your Creator in a way perhaps than you've never submitted before. When you really know your need of the good Lord who created you, then you can get through anything you have to get through. And again, I come back to personality. It is a tool that helps you to accomplish that.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. You had a question, I think.
The 2-word mission statement, serving others. What stuck out to me about that is that it's a call to action. It's not a high-minded ideal. It's a statement that we're going to actually do things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think that anybody can hear and understand, that it's not a passive thing. And that to me is very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. We said that there are a few standards of a mission statement for it really to be a mission. Number one, it has to be brief enough that you can remember it. If it's a paragraph, it perhaps doesn't inspire.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it has to be inspiring every day of your life. And number three, it has to be impossible. If your mission is to be the best at playing badminton,
Mm-hmm.
then what are you going to do when you become the best at badminton? That's not a true mission. That's an objective.
Mm-hmm.
A mission statement or a statement of mission should not include an attainable objective.
It never ends.
It needs to be impossible.
Right.
It keeps on keeping on.
Right.
And we proved that over and over in our company when others came in for the leadership training, and we asked them to write a personal mission statement. And I met with them as CEO of the company, and I shared with them my mission statement, and I said, now you please write your mission statement. But in order to do it, you have to determine what is your highest value, because life plays out not when it's black versus white or right versus wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It plays out gray versus gray.
Mm-hmm.
One good value can often be in conflict with another one. What is your number one value that you'll never let fail?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll share with you as CEO that my number one value, is reconciling love. It is love that seeks first to encourage and nurture, but it's love that will step up to the plate when the going gets tough. And it can be very effective in times of doubt, pain, loss, hurt, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Reconciling love. And it's all in the good book,
Mm-hmm.
but following that good book has been hard for this backsliding United Methodist.
Now, this might be a difficult question, but because of how you're wired, but when you've got your closest people standing at your graveside and they're talking about you, what do you hope they'll be saying about you?
Well, I try not to think in those terms.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I really hope they'll say is that somehow in this person I experienced God in a more personal way. There's something about that person that got me closer to my Creator. And every day is opportunity for anybody listening to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be something that is considered little in the eyes and ways of the world. It may be how you look at someone when you say hello. It may be whether you say, "How are you?" and wait for their answer. How many people are there out there who say, "Hi, how are you?"
Mm-hmm.
And nobody answers, and whoever asked the question didn't expect an answer anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep going. You don't pay attention. Affirm others, love others, and your love muscle will grow, and you'll be a fuller person because of it.
You know, John was telling me about a survey that I can't remember the name of it that they took all over Nashville, and the number one thing they said they wanted more than anything else was to have a greater sense of belonging. And let me just say this, and we'll wrap up. One, it's a delight to sit with you. And God has blessed you in the personalities with a lot of yellow, which if it is a very connective energy, or your aura is one that's not haughty when you could be, but it is very receptive, welcoming, affirming without you even saying a word. And God has just blessed you with a real true servant's heart. And I really appreciate that and admire you for it. And while you don't like to talk about yourself, and I appreciate that, God has just made you a significant influence just by your servant's heart, your energy, and just your welcoming spirit. So, as well as when you have to dig down and, you know, do the hard thing, you'll do it, but you'll do it packaged in love and care, not anger or that kind of thing. So, I just want to give you that feedback. And
Thank you.
Thank really
you. And I invite you to my gravesite to say those things, because that's what I would really like said there. So you're already invited there.
Okay.
Now, you've never received an invitation like that, I bet.
No, I haven't, but I'll take it. Eric, any other questions from your?
It's been a delight to hear you recount your experiences in leadership.
Thank you.
It's the mere act of serving others and loving them is something I think that's undervalued in business.
Amen.
And you're a testament to how that can work.
The other thing I would add, Cal, is that from the very first time I met you, you like to have fun, which I like. But the other thing that's really central that God's given you is that your presence, for me, and I think others, I feel safe and I know I'm never going to be judged. And you're a man of second and third chances when they're reasonable. And that's just outstanding where I'm concerned.
Thank you.
I feel cared for just by every time I've been with you.
Same. This is the first time we've met, and I feel like we're old friends.
Well, I believe we are too. That is the greatest friendship in our Lord. That's a true friend. And I have been blessed by that kind of friendship all my life, in my family and in my friends.
Well, thank you for the time. And we've only gotten snippets of your life story. Maybe we can do a couple more of these and dive into other areas that I just think leaders need to hear what you shared today. And
Thank you.
There's so many that are confused and they're doing the best they can, but they really are reluctant to take on a mentor or that sort of thing, because they're like the other guy of your competitor where they've been taught they have to be perfect. And perfection is the greatest enemy to growth and caring that exists. So,
I don't even use the word. Only God is perfect. The rest of us are struggling, and we need to help each other so that we can all struggle less.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. This was joyful to me.